All right, we are 20 picks in now. Precious Achiuwa to the Miami Heat at number 20 overall. The Philadelphia 76ers have had a big day. They traded away Al Horford earlier in the day. And at number 21, the pick is in Tyrese Maxey. And this is a player kind of like Cole Anthony that expected a little bit more of in college. Gary Parrish, what's your grade with the Sixers taking Maxey at 21?
I'll give it a B+ because I did have Maxey going inside of the top 20. So if he's there at 21, then you're getting good value. RJ Hampton is above him on my big board, but he's the only player above him on my big board when Philadelphia is picking. I'm not sure I love Philadelphia adding another non-shooter because Tyrese Maxey did only make 29% of his three-point attempts in his one season at Kentucky. But if you talk to people at Kentucky and NBA executives who scouted him and evaluated him, they do think that he can become a shooter in time. And if he becomes a shooter in time, then he's a real threat because he's already pretty good at getting to the rim, finishing with floaters, either hand. So I don't love it. I'm not sure it's what I would have done, but I can certainly understand it. I didn't even think Tyrese Maxey would be available at this point.
Yeah, Sixer fans probably rolling their eyes at the thought of a 29% three-point shooter in college. They need shooters, and he's not one of them. But as Gary Parrish said, they believe that they can work him into a three-point shooter. Matt Babcock is our draft analyst. Matt, do you believe those three-point numbers are going to come significantly up over the years in the NBA?
You know, I definitely wouldn't classify him as a shooter, but I do buy that he will be a better shooter than his numbers suggest his freshman year. You know, and as far as, you know, my evaluation of the pick, you know, I know a lot of people had him more in the 10 to 20 range. I had him more in the 20 to 30, and so I think at 21, this is a reasonable pick. And with them having Ben Simmons in place, who's, you know, they played at point guard, who I see more as a point forward, but either way will handle a lot of their primary ball handling responsibilities. Take some pressure off of him being an undersized two guard. And so this is probably a good fit for the players that they have in place.
We have a bunch of Philadelphia natives in our newsroom, and they were fired up today when they found out that Al Horford was going to be traded away. This is all a contract move.
There's a lot of yelling.
It wasn't a good signing for the 76ers. They get Danny Green, Terrence Ferguson. Really, I mean, it's all about unloading that contract with the Thunder getting 2025 protected first-round pick and the number 34 pick tonight. Let's go to our NBA insider, Bill Ryder. Bill, what do you see the Sixers doing the rest of this offseason with free agency beginning on Friday night?
Well, there's a long ways to go between here and I think where Daryl Morey wants to go. But with the prospect of all of those colleagues of ours yelling even louder than they did when Horford was unloaded, there's little doubt around the NBA that Daryl Morey, now in charge of basketball operations for the Sixers, recently last season and many seasons before that in charge in Houston, would love to make a run at James Harden. And we know James Harden wants to go to Brooklyn. The Nets, don't have enough room. Amanda, you mentioned this earlier. There's only one basketball on the floor, so it's a weird fit for Harden with Irving and Durant, even though they're star power. And really, the Nets just don't have the assets. But there is a sense, and I talked to one GM a couple days ago who just doesn't believe that Ben Simmons is going to be a long-term fit with what Daryl Morey philosophically wants to do, his approach to basketball, what he's going to implement. So I think there's a real chance that the shooters will see, and you're right, the shooters they need in Philly are going to come in some bigger and bolder moves as Morey targets a superstar that can be a high-usage guy, that can shoot a lot of threes. They're not necessarily going to run a Mike D'Antoni offense with Doc Rivers there, but they're going to shoot a lot more three-point shots, and they're going to have a different approach than we saw from Rivers with the Clippers. At least that's the expectation around the NBA. And so don't rule out the Sixers making a run at James Harden over the course of the next few weeks or next few months.
Okay, that's the big picture and the big hope, I think, for 76ers fans is that they get somebody, a big name, either this offseason or next year down the road in free agency, because right now, I mean, the process didn't exactly work out the way that they had hoped it would work. But let's bring in Avery Johnson for more on Tyrese Maxey, the 29% three-point shooter out of Kentucky. What did you see from him in college, and how do you think he fits in Philadelphia with the Sixers?
I really like this pick for Philadelphia. It's not an A+. Gary's giving out a lot of A-pluses tonight. It almost makes me want to, I didn't get drafted in 1988. I was undrafted, but it makes me want to get drafted tonight and go back in time and maybe have Gary evaluate my game coming out of Southern University. I would love to get an A+. But Tyrese Maxey, you got to remember, Ben Simmons is not going to always be on the ball. Doc Rivers is going to play him at some point forward, but he's also going to play as a slashing four. And, when Joel Embiid gets double teamed, you need guys that can create their shot. And he's a kid that can create his own shot. He'll be a much improved three-point shooter. He has an unbelievable stroke. He just didn't go in as consistently, but the stroke is there. I've watched this kid. He's a kid from the Dallas area, but he's a kid that can also play on the defensive end. And you think about kids in that division, players in that division who you have to defend, the Lowrys, the Kemba Walkers. You need somebody that can be competitive against those players on the defensive end. But I wouldn't be blown away, obviously, by his three-point numbers, the 29% from three. He'll shoot in the high 30s on the NBA level.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.